Okay, so it's December. We're going to do a little bit now on Christmas trees because everyone's thinking about it. So our trees arrived now the end of last week. So we've got a good range in now at the garden centre. So Keith, run us through the differences between. I know there's a few different types of trees. So what's the differences?
Well, the two cut trees we have are the Norway spruce, which is the real traditional Christmas tree, and the Nordmann fir. The Norways, they will drop some needles, but they have a good scent, and a lot of people grow them for that and use them for that, and they're a little bit cheaper than the Nordmanns as well. The Nordmann fir, though, is increasingly popular because it hangs onto its needles, and we get them coming back for recycling after Christmas, and they're as good as new, many of them. So you pay a little bit more for that, but they're excellent trees, and they're nice and layered so that you can show off your decorations to their best effect, really. So they're the two types of cut trees, but we also do potted trees. So these are either pot grown or they're lifted and potted up probably a few months ago. So they've got their own root system. If you want a smaller tree, they're ideal, and of course then they can go into the garden not straight away in January. It's a bit of a shock for them, but they can be planted out, say, in March, or they can be left in their pots and used again next year. So a tree like this, you could probably use it for 3 or 4 years, perhaps just potted up a couple of times. This is the blue spruce, so a really attractive foliage, but we also get Nordmann fir and Norway spruce as potted trees as well.
That's brilliant. So just on the cut trees now, a little bit of advice for people when they're taking them inside. Obviously, the transition from the cold where we have them out here into the heat inside. Is it best to sort of pop them in a garage or something first, or put us somewhere sheltered just so they can acclimatise a little bit before?
Well, what I do with mine, I think that as soon as you get a cut tree, you do need to take off perhaps the bottom inch of trunk. It just opens up that cut again, and it allows it to take in more water. And then I leave mine outside for as long as I can until the boss tells me it needs to come in for decoration in a bucket of water, because they will take up. It's like a cut flower; they will take up a lot of water. So leave them outside in the weather, as long as they're hardy trees, but in a bucket. And then when they come into the house, they also need to have water. So there are these specialised stands which people have been using for many years now. Now you just keep topping up that water, and you tend to have to do that most days, because in a warm room they will use even more water. But it keeps them at their very best for as long as you want them.
Well, that's brilliant. It's given us a bit of advice now on the Christmas trees and what sort of things to do to care and look after them. Generally now, I know we always talk a little bit about the birds. It's obviously a key time for feeding birds now.
Yeah, when I came in this morning, we had long-tailed tits under the canopies here. I don't know what they were after, but they were here. So yeah, you get a lot more different, interesting birds perhaps at this time of year, because they're finding it a little bit more difficult out there. We had a couple of cold days, didn't we, in the latter part of November. So keep feeding the birds and try different things. I mean, these fat balls of suet feasts are very good, and they'll attract a lot of birds perhaps you haven't seen through the rest of the year. Keep the feeders clean though, particularly if you have been feeding all year. Give them a good clean now and again. And I think it's also a time to clean out nest boxes. And I think they say you've got until the end of January to do that before birds start looking for the new season. So if you've got nest boxes around the garden, get those cleaned out as well at this time.
That's brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Keith. And that's the last one now for 2015. So Merry Christmas to everyone, and a Happy New Year.
Indeed.